Preparing to go live. I got it. I'm just going to share this on my page. Ian, if you want to do that too while we are starting and people are starting to gather around. Anybody that wants to get around this, I know that Tammy is probably sharing this right now because she's the organized part of this operation.
Yep.
Go into the Knoxville Raceway page here. Yep, we're live, which is the good news. Just make sure everybody can hear us okay. All right, good news. And I'll see somebody immediately that will tell me. There you go. Rhonda Douglas, Kate Schmidt, 10 other people are watching as well. It's always good to know. It is bang on 10:31 a.m. That's on Thursday here in the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. And it is a far different situation where it is 7:30, if I've got this right, on Wednesday night in Des Moines and Mitchellville. Hello, Ian Madsen. Hello, Troy Renfro. Thank you for your time tonight, boys. I can tell Troy is already amping, Ian, to get in and start talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I can see that too.
How are you, Troy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I appreciate Tammy bullying you into this happening. I'm excited to talk to you both. We are so close to the season. Of course, the Pella Motors Knoxville Raceway season opener kicks off on the 15th, and then the weekend after is huge because it's a 2-night World of Outlaw show. First time in a long time we've had the Outlaws in April at Knoxville. But boys, you kick off your season, Ian, this weekend coming, yeah?
Yeah, we got a double header in Burlington, which is pretty close for us, only a couple of hours down the road. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. We've had no track time yet in the new car and the new tire package. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we've just got to get out there and give it a go and see what happens.
Troy, a fair bit of tornado activity in the last couple of days in the Marion County and Pleasantville sort of area. Got a little bit scary. There's some epic photos, even in the distance over the top of the bleachers at Knoxville from Dingus taken of some twister activity. Is everyone okay in your area?
Yeah, we just got a lot of rain and some hail, so we were okay.
Ian, it's such a bizarre life for us Aussies to even contemplate twisters. It's just like a twister is something you get at KFC. It's not something that can take out half your town. How much of that sort of stuff have you experienced in your time in the States?
Not a whole lot. I mean, been in some situations where, a lot of the sirens go off and it's tornado warnings, which is quite terrifying at first when you first move over here. But in typical Iowa fashion, it doesn't seem to bother too many of the locals or anything, and most people just go about their lives when the sirens go off. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, obviously it is if it happens, but yeah, I've been really lucky so far in my tenure in Iowa to not experience anything horrific like some of the tornadoes we see on TV.
So you guys have been around each other a lot, particularly in the last 10 years, where Ian has been out there smashing out 2 Knoxville Raceway track championships, which has been phenomenal, and joined the legendary Skip Jackson in that situation as well. Had it ever before last year, Troy, had it ever been something on your radar that, hey, I wouldn't mind having Ian Madsen in my hot rod, or did this sort of come up just as a last minute thing?
It came up. Last year he called and came over, and we sat and talked and had a really good talk for about 2 hours, and I felt like we were both in the same place, and I felt really good after the conversation.
I think that's got to be something, Ian, that's massively important. I mean, yeah, you want to go to someone that's got a great team and hopefully their equipment can win races, but the chemistry between you and Troy is absolutely critical here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And yeah, I was at a point in my career last year where I didn't know what to do and where I wanted to go. It had been a pretty rough couple of years where I'd been bouncing around different rides and living in different parts of the country and not running particularly well. So I was at a bit of a crossroads, and yeah, it was just really grateful that the opportunity arose with Troy. And yeah, like you said, I drove down to Mitchellville there, and we had a really good talk and discussion, and on where we both wanted to be in our career. And and I think I left that meeting with you know, kind of convinced that I needed to make it happen. Troy's a very revered crew chief in the area and just nationally as well. You know, he's had a lot of time on the World of Outlaws and a lot of success. So I think it was a really good opportunity for both of us, and we met up right at the right time. You know, it's kind of reignited my passion for the sport, and to be around the family atmosphere and that he provides, and it's just it just felt like I needed a home again, and you know, his team provides a lot of stability for me, and you know, I feel like it was a bit of a struggle at first, and it took a while for us both to get on the same page, but
Yeah.
you know, we had a lot of bad luck at the start as well, and I feel like it took a month or two to get things honed out, and we really started to kind of hit our stride at the end of last year and get the program figured out. And like I said, yeah, it's we've been slowly building to get it better, and thankfully we have some great partners on board with All By Your Alternative and the Iowa Barnstormers. DeWitt Construction, it's just a great group of guys, and it's a great race team. I think we all want the same goal, and that's to go out and be competitive each week, and I feel like everything's in place to do that.
Troy, Knoxville Raceway is not that far from you geographically. It's certainly not far from Ian, but it's not far from you either. Is it the obvious? It's like, oh, well, Knoxville's down the road. Of course, we're going to run there every week for the track championship. Or is it still as revered, the idea of winning the track championship and success there? Does it still mean that much to you?
It means everything to me. There's just no place like Knoxville. And pretty much the way you're treated there and how they treat you, point fund wise, just, and the people. I mean, you can't beat as far as the people there at the racetrack. I mean, look, you got, and they just treat you so good. And you know, for instance, Wally. I mean, everybody knows Wally.
Yep.
And he makes sure that you're okay where you're parked and you're everything's good. And if you got a problem, you go see somebody. So, but yeah. So.
Yeah. Mike Profit, Skip Jackson, Connie McCoy. Like there's just such a, and you know, Ian, it's funny, as much as people talk about Tony Bockoven's voice and Chris Krug's voice, for me, Mike Fisher, B-Main. This is your B. You know that you're at Knoxville when you hear Mike Fisher's voice across that pit PA. So there's so many things, Ian, that are so iconic about that raceway that aren't even race related.
Yeah, there really is. And I mean, you know, even not so much just as the town in general. You know, there's so many things just as you're pulling into town, and you see Knoxville Raceway there on the left-hand side, and it still gives me goosebumps sometimes. And yeah, like Troy said, it's just it really is. We really are lucky to live only, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes up the road from probably one of the greatest racetracks in the world. And yeah, you know, for me, it's you know, the two Knoxville track championships for me were a highlight of my career, and I had the opportunity to go, you know, chase my World of Outlaws dream, and that's still very much alive for me. But you know, at the moment, my focus is on TKS Motorsports and trying to get us another track championship here.
Yeah, absolutely. Boys, in some ways, you're quite similar as people. You're both very quiet away. You don't go looking for conversation necessarily. I mean, more Troy than you, Ian. But you have an intensity that is absolutely undeniable, and it's always just under the surface. So you're both pretty explosive when you need to be, and you're both diplomatic when you need to be. Do you see similarities yourselves? Troy, I'll ask you that question. I mean, do you see some similarities in Ian as he reminds you a little of yourself?
Yeah, and that goes back to when we sat down and had our conversation. I think it's what I was looking for, and I didn't have it. I went through a 3-year period there where things just didn't go good with different drivers and different things. But when we sat down and talked for 2 hours, we're just too similar, and we want the same things and the same goals. So yeah.
Ian, is that a fair call?
Yeah, that's a fair call. I mean, I didn't know what to expect pulling into his house there last year, and you know, it only, even though we'd been so close for so many years here, you know, our conversations have been limited, I think, because of what you have brought up being so similar. So it was, yeah, it's, you know, it's been fun trying to get to know Troy and Tammy as well, and the whole family. And, you know, he's quite, very dry sense of humor and sarcastic, which I appreciate. So it's been, it's been really fun. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's just really grateful that you know, this opportunity arose for me, because you know, it was, like I said before, I was at a point where I didn't know what to do, and yeah, so I just feel like it was one of those things that that really come for me at the right time.
Troy just looked over, I'm assuming at Tammy just then with this look on his face, like, really? Am I sarcastic? Is that the look you just gave her then? Because that's what it seemed to be like then, Troy.
Yep, pretty much. Yep.
Ian, I've known you for a long time, since you very first started racing at Parramatta, your beloved Parramatta City Raceway, you and your brother Kerry. I mean, that was your Knoxville. It was Sydney's Knoxville for a lot of us. You were just a scrawny little kid back then. These days, you really bulked up. You put a lot of energy into the gym and your workout stuff. Is that something that is helpful with your racing program, or is it good to also occupy your mind?
I think a bit of both, and yeah, obviously it does. It can't hurt. You know, it's just something I enjoy to do, and it was, you know, it's kind of have an addictive personality, so it's something that, you know, once you start, you get more into and keep at it, and I've been, you know, thankful that I've been back in America for about a month now, and I've been able to get back to the gym each day and stuff, and really try and get my mind right, and just be in the right mindset for when we hit the racing here on Friday. It's going to be a really hectic schedule, so you know, I just want to be feeling the best I can, and give Troy and me the best Ian I can give them.
Troy, what do you expect from a race car driver? Is it a commitment during the week? Do you expect Ian to be over, you know, working on it, or do you prefer to be a little bit of this stuff on your own? Do you prefer your own space? Like, how do you find a balance between what you expect from him during the week, not on race night so much, but during the week?
I told him from the beginning that if he had time, you come over, spend a little time. I don't care if you sit on a chair and just talk. But to be a team, you have to be together at points, even during the week. Like, just stop over, say hi, have a cup of coffee with me. And that's really all I expect. If I do need help, then I'll ask, and I expect the help. But yeah, just, you can sit in the chair, and you can, you know, I don't put seats or belts in. That's his deal. Any driver, I do not do that.
Okay.
Used to. And he did, like this week, came over and got belts and seats and all that stuff put in. So yeah.
So when you start with a baseline, when you very first started to work together, Troy, I imagine you have the TKS baseline set up in the hot rod the way you like to run it. How different was what Ian wanted from that? I mean, I'm not asking you to tell me the setup differences, but was there a big difference or a little difference in how he liked to run the car?
Just a little bit, really. Like last year, we had about a month before the Nationals, somewhere around that time period. So we decided we went to Knoxville every week with a different type of setup. And then before Nationals, we sat down the day before Nationals and went through the book and was like, okay, we got to figure this out. And we picked what we did, and it was good. I mean, we were fourth quick, and
yeah,
we would have been good. We just had a mag go bad in the feature. So yeah, that put us behind, but not much different. Like, I don't feel much different. So
Ian, when you very first started, I imagine you just got in the race car and drove it. You know, like back in the day when you started in Sydney and stuff, we were just happy to be in a race car and just deal with whatever came at you. But now, after all these years, you're a bona fide and very established and respected racer. you must have a very clear idea in your mind of what you like in a race car when you very first start that point.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I'd say kind of we were both probably a little off on where we needed to be when we first got together. And I'd just been driving so many different cars the last few years, and it just wasn't ideal where I was at. I think since I was in the World of Outlaws, I had driven 10 to 12 different cars in that 2-year time span. So it's hard not to get a little off track when you're doing that much. So I think when I met up with Troy, I didn't really know what I wanted. I just wanted to be fast again and competitive each night. So it was just the instance where we just had to sit down together and really just basically throw anything at it until we got to where we felt like we had a good baseline and where we were competitive night in, night out again. And funnily enough, it was probably pretty much as basic as you could get. So I think what it all comes down to is there's no magic tricks in sprint car racing. It just takes good communication and good feedback and a good harmonious atmosphere inside the team. And we've been trying to do all of that, and just thankful there's other people as well as Troy and Tammy within the race team that have been helping me try to be a better person and just so we can not just be a better driver, but a better person outside the race car and being able to communicate better and just give good feedback to Troy and get us where we need to be.
Troy, normally it takes until June before you see the Outlaws team for the Brownells Big Gun Bash, and then all of a sudden it's only 6 to 8 weeks before the Nationals. This year you get a measuring stick pretty early, with the Outlaws being there the second weekend of the season on the 21st and 22nd. Is that something where you'll use that as something that's helpful in some way, or does it not matter?
I think it'll be helpful. But I think it's still going to be, this new tire is something we have to figure out. And it's hard to say that it may be good off the bat for us or the way we do things. We don't know. So it'll be good. It'll be good to see where we're at and then see what we need to work on. And then we'll work on it.
So Ian, same thing for you, mate. Normally you'd be used to the Outlaws rolling in that early June period, or mid-June period to run the Brownells Big Gun Bash. But now you're going to get a crack at them in the second week of the season, and you can measure up, I guess, as to where your speed is at with that early.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just kind of echo Troy's sentiment, and it's we haven't raced this year. We got a good baseline going at the end of last year, but there's a new tire package that's been thrown into the mix, so it's going to be, we're kind of heading into the unknown this weekend, and you hopefully you can kind of throw something at it, and hopefully we're close, because when the Outlaws roll into town at the second week of the year, it's going to really show if you're good or you're not. So we'll see what happens. And for me as a driver, I love it because I love to, measure yourself against the best, and I'm glad we get to do it early on and see where we're at. If we're close, that's going to be great. If we're not, I know that we'll head back to the shop in Mitchellville and put our heads together and just keep working at it until we're on the pace.
The nice part too, Ian, is you've just spent, 2 to 3 months back at home, racing as much as you possibly could with that gorgeous DTM hot rod. Gee, that's a great looking race car. Darren and Tracy do such a great job with that Paddy's hire car. So you're going to come back as sharp as you've ever been to strap in. You've really not been out of the car very long at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the best seasons I've had in Australia in a long time. And a lot of that is due to the opportunity I was given with Darren Reeler and DTM Motorsport. It was just hooked up with them a few years ago and feel like we kind of just got everything where we needed to last year. And it was awesome. And it was pretty cool to prove to myself that I can still do it down there. And we were competitive each night in in the mix for a win pretty much every night as well, and you know, had a few wins and a couple heartbreakers as well. But you know, I was really proud of myself and proud of Darren and Clinton and Corey and the whole DTM team, because I think we proved that you know, we're one of the top teams down there, and yeah, it was, you know, I was frothing to go racing the week I got back because everything had been going so well. So I didn't really need a month off, but so yeah, just been, I'm ready to go.
That's such a great Aussie term, frothing to get into it. I don't know whether they use that much in the States. Are you still, after all this time, Ian, are you still coming across the language barrier? I mean, you blended in pretty well. You roll your R's a bit more now because it's just so hard not to be misunderstood. But are you still seeing the cultural differences after all these years, or you're pretty well used to everything now?
No, I don't know. I think you know, it was probably until after the pandemic, you know, I'd probably kind of grown numb to it all. And then, you know, I spent nearly 2.5 years here through the pandemic. And then, you know, that first trip back to Australia was just awesome because it's just nothing like good Aussie banter. And, you know, I think, you know, I got off the plane and got some McDonald's, and the guy, the chick behind the counter was like, "Oh, how you going, mate?" And I'm like, "Good." And she's like, "That's the way." And it was just, yeah, it was like, I'm back home.
Yeah, isn't it funny? So Troy, in Australia, a lot of times someone will say, "How you going?" and you say back, "How you going?" Like you're not actually asking how you going. It's just like, howdy, howdy. There's no actually. If you say how you going and someone says, "Yeah, good, thanks," or they say, "Good, thanks, you," it's definitely two worlds. You've been dealing with Aussies on and off for a lot of years, Troy. You should be numb to us by now, or do we still surprise you?
Oh no, I only pay attention when I have to.
Troy, what do you measure a good night at the races by? Is it speed? Is it a win? Is it developments with the car? Can you be not on the most famous right-hand turn in racing and still be happy at the end of a night?
I try to be happy every night.
Well, you know what I mean. I'll use the word satisfied, not happy. I'll use the word satisfied. Like, can Ian run fourth and you still be satisfied with that? Or is it all about that getting to the top step every time you go out there?
It depends on how the night goes. Like if you start off and you're having a not a great night and you salvage what you can. But I think a lot of that comes from, you know, my outlaw days too. You know, sometimes you had to salvage what you could for the points. I'm never satisfied, but you have to look at the whole night of what happened. So
yeah,
that's how I measure it.
You've got the Renfro family is effectively, you're the only guy in the place. You've got a beautiful wife and two beautiful daughters. And are you allowed to be the boss of anything or just the race car?
Oh, just the race car. Yeah, no, I'm not the boss of nothing here.
Ian, anytime an Aussie driver, Knoxville, and it happened with Lockie McHugh this year, just gone last season, I said to him, "How many times have you run Knoxville?" He goes, "Never." And I said, "Come with me." And I dragged him over to Skip. It's still such an incredibly different place to any track that Australians will ever drive at. The first thing Skip Boy says is, "Don't turn at the flag stand." Do you remember your first night at Knoxville, Ian?
No, because I ended up in hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it was back in 2005, and my dad helped put a deal together with Wayne Simmons in Knoxville, and yeah, kind of pulled a no and rode a right rear coming off a 4 and flipped about 10 times down the front stretch and ended up in hospital. So ended up with a broken arm out of that and tailbone. So it was quite a humbling experience to be the first night at Knoxville and end up in hospital. So yeah, it was sat out about 6 to 8 weeks and came back after that, and just treated the place with a little more respect.
Isn't it incredible? Yeah. We talked before, and Troy brought it up about the community, Ian, at Knoxville. What about the Knoxville Push Truck Association? Like those guys are just next level, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, just there's just nothing bad about the place. Everything from the bottom to the top. It's not only have I raced there for a long time, but also spent a lot of time in the town and lived there for a number of years. So it's just I've always felt welcome by everyone. And it's the only racetrack where the only town really where you just see people everywhere in race car shirts. So it's just a really cool experience, and the whole most of the town gets behind it. So yeah, it's just one of those places that's very special to me, and I'm thankful that I have a great opportunity to race there each week.
You know what I'm really starting to miss, Troy, when I'm back here in Australia? I start to miss jerky. Every time I go into Casey's, I always know there's plenty of home brand Casey's jerky, and there's anytime you're in the Midwest, it's not till you see that big logo, you go, now I'm in America. You have an amazing affinity with the Casey's group through a number of years, and of course now with the Aunger group as well. You've got some amazing Iowa business people in your corner, mate.
Yes, I absolutely do. They, I can't say enough about all of them. And they believe in us, and that's good.
Well, it's cool because there's a lot of big corporate teams. We know that JJR, is the main Albor factory pilot, if you will, for a national exposure deal. But there's this little team in Mitchellville, Iowa, in a little 2-car garage where that's your whole setup in there. And I think it's cool. It's the little team that could, and it's great that you have supporters like that.
Yeah, it's been really good. And I can't say enough about Don Lamberti, and it's been with us for quite a few years, and not just on the racing side, but just life in general. Very smart, wise man.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so it's been good for us.
Ian, you get ready to push at Knoxville. This happens, every week when you run there. Push truck comes up behind you and you go to flip to go out for hot laps. Does your heart still race, mate? Is it just part of a process for you, or is it still that sense of privilege that, this is what I dreamed of doing? I mean, I know that when nights are tough, sometimes you go, man, I could just be working at Burger King. This would be a lot easier. But is it still in your heart?
Oh yeah. I'm as passionate about it as ever. And, especially racing at Knoxville, because it is just such an iconic place. And it's the main reason I moved to the US was, one of my first races in the US was Knoxville, and, loved Parramatta and all the tracks at home. But, there was just something about the raw speed and the atmosphere at Knoxville that made me want to move over here to be a race car driver. So, I still get that feeling every time I roll into the place, and, there's no, I don't know if there's any more intensity or like there is, when you're about to push off for qualifying at the Knoxville Nationals. So it's, I still get nervous each week, and I think that's healthy. And it just shows that, I still am very passionate about the sport, and I'm really competitive and still want to win. And I feel like we can do that.
Troy, how do you keep up with the latest, with setups and the evolution of sprint car geometry and things like that? Because fundamentally the basics are still the same. But how do you keep up with? Are you watching online? Do you watch a lot of racing online or streaming, or how do you deal with that constant evolving of what you do with race cars?
Oh yeah, you watch. I watch a lot of the stuff, the outlaw races that we're not at or whatever online, and all-star races and things like that, and still talk to a lot of the people out there. So you kind of get an idea of what's going on.
But can you be a fan? Can you sit in the stands or watch a race that's streamed and not think, boy, that thing's just dragging its ass on the right rear there, or why hasn't he got the nose down a bit? Can you detune from that?
No, I've never once sat in the stands, even at Knoxville.
Really?
Never.
Why?
I couldn't do it.
What? Ian, do you relate to that, or is that a strange concept?
I mean, I could see that, but I'm a race tragic, so it's been tough for me since I've been home. I've been home for this month and not doing much, and it's kind of like, every Friday or Saturday, you're like, all right, I'm not going to watch tonight. I'm going to do something else, go to a movie or something, catch up with some friends. And, lo and behold, you end up glued to the phone all night watching Dirt Vision. And, you're like, oh, I could do better than that. Or,
Yeah.
you can, it's quite frustrating. And, but I guess it's what you are. If you're a race car driver, you're a race car driver. And, it'd just be like an NFL player or an
Yeah.
NRL player trying to watch a game on TV. I'm sure it's quite frustrating because, the competitive spirit in you want to be out there and competing. And, so yeah, after watching Dirt Vision for the last few weeks, I can safely say I'm ready to get going.
Troy, do these cars continue to surprise you in what they do? Or do you sometimes see, wow, I didn't see that happening, or man, these things will just bite you? Or how do you see has the sport come that far, and has it continued to challenge you as a crew chief and a car owner?
Yeah, constantly. I mean, right now, it's just as a car owner, it's the cost of everything. The cost has gone up tremendously, and not just in racing, life in general. You go, I got dragged to the grocery store last Saturday night, and yeah, I about had I can't. So yeah, it was bad. I was like, I couldn't believe it, the amount of stuff that was in the cart. So it's not just racing, but the racing part as an owner, it's the cost of everything has went up tremendously, and the shortages. That's been pretty tough. Just being able to get stuff. So
Ian, you would be a sporting fan as well, I would imagine, and a very astute person when it comes to, what's going on out in the entertainment world and stuff. I recently went to an A-League game at Newcastle with my son, watched the Newcastle Jets play Adelaide United. They advertised a start time of 7:45, Ian. The teams ran out in the field at 7:42. 7:45, the whistle blew, and at 9:45, we were walking out the stadium. It was a very compressed 2-hour concept in a really nice stadium. Do you see the challenges of how we need to compete as sprint car racing with the electronic sports and the family sports that are getting smaller and smaller in how they present a show?
Oh, definitely. And, I would say as a fan, that's the frustrating part. I took had the grand opening of Eastern Creek Speedway last year, which was great for Sydney and Speedway to have another track up and operating and to replace Parramatta Speedway. But I brought some friends that hadn't been for 10 to 12 years, and it was just a really good opportunity to showcase the sport to them. And just unfortunately dragged on 7 or 8 hours that night, and we didn't get to finish the program. So it really is the Achilles heel of the sport is dragging the duration of the shows out that long. I understand both sides of it, and we have to make money through the back gate as well as the front gate in modern times, and I know it's not easy, but I feel like it's something. I feel like we're just in a really good opportunity. The sport has a really good opportunity right now with all the exposure we're getting online and YouTube and the highlights packages. It's probably liken it to the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So I just not only as a driver but just as a sprint car fan in general, I don't want to waste that opportunity away. So I hope we can, it sounds cheesy, but we all need to come together as in sport and just figure out a way to fix the problems ahead of us, because there is really a good gold mine sitting there for sprint car racing. And like you said, you went to an A-League game, and I feel like as society, attention span is getting shorter and shorter each day, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not 20, 30 years ago where you can sit a family on the hill for 7-8 hours a night and expect them to come back the next week.
Yeah, I knew you would get it. I think the Panthers are going okay too, Ian. Last I checked, you keep up with the NRL scores at all when you're over there or not?
Oh yeah, I still get up. Got up at 4 a.m. last week to watch the Panthers. So
Did you really?
yeah, it was a pretty amazing game. Try to get up most weeks. Obviously, it's going to be harder when we get into the swing of things here in the summer. But yeah, it's just a really, it's a once in a lifetime, time spent to be a fan of the Penrith Panthers. So it's been a tough 30 years. So it's I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Mate, I'm an Eels fan and we're still nowhere. So yeah, live it up. So you got the Knoxville Panthers and you got the Penrith Panthers. For those people that live in Knoxville, there's another Panthers team and it's a pretty big deal. Troy, you're both you and Ian are shooting for 3 track championships. That would be really cool to achieve that together.
Yeah, I'd love to achieve that this year, and that's what our goal is. So
no reason why you can't get that done. 2-night show this weekend, which should be a really good way for you guys to get your marbles all in a row and get yourselves dialed in for the season opener, the Pella Motors grand opening night of the Knoxville Raceway season. Of course, when you spin ahead, we've got 2 more outlaw shows in April and in June. The All-Stars come as well. Ian, that would be an event that you'd be pretty keen to dominate as well as you could, if you could as well, because when the All-Stars come to town, that brings its own challenges too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to dominate any event at the moment, but it's just I just want to get out there and see where we're at. Yeah, like Troy, like you said, it's we're both gunning for our 3rd championship, and it'd be great to do it together. But if not, we can't sit around and cry about it, and we'll get back to work and come back swinging next year.
Troy, I'm really pleased. All of us Aussies are very proud of our Australian drivers. I don't care, if I'm blowing smoke, but we are. We know it. It's a big sacrifice to move to the other side of the world and chase your dream. You, of course, worked with Brooke Tatnell for a number of years, and now here you are with Ian gunning for a 3rd Knoxville Raceway Track Championship. I want to say thank you to you for your ongoing passion and love for the sport, and thanks to the boss. Thank God Tammy's there to keep you smiling and keep everything on the level. But I'm excited for you again to get after it this year and with all your partners. And Troy, good luck to you, mate. I hope it's a great year for you.
thank you.
Ian, I knew that you and I would be the most chatty of this bunch, but I think it's important to bring him in because he's done a lot. Him and Tammy have done a lot for this sport over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Like I said, he's just such a revered figure around the area and on the world of outlaws. And when I had a brief stint with him in the early 2000s when I came over here as a kid with Dwayne Lawrence, travel riding with him for a little bit. So, sometimes got to pinch myself to realize I'm driving for one of the great crew chiefs of sprint car racing. So, just really grateful for the opportunity I got ahead of me. And, I hope we can have a good weekend this weekend and keep building on that. And, I wanted to be a home for me for a long time. So, basically until as long as Troy and Tammy want to do it. So yeah, it's just can't say enough about him, his team and just his family in general and the people he has put in place to support the team. It's just an amazing opportunity and I'm just very excited to see what lies ahead for us.
Tammy and I always say TKS stands for Troy. Keep smiling. Have a wonderful Easter, everybody. Good luck to you guys this weekend with your first kickoff for the car. Can't wait to see how fast you are this weekend. And then Knoxville on April 15. Boys, thank you so much for your time. Tammy, thank you. I know you're the boss of making this happen. You kind of nudged him and said, well, come on. You kind of should talk to him. So I appreciate that, Tammy. Good to see you, Troy. Good luck to you, Ian. Kick some butt, mate. Right. And happy Easter to you both.
All right. Thank you, Wade.
See you guys.
See ya.
Troy, keep smiling. TKS. See you, everybody. Having an amazing Easter. Be safe on the roads and not much longer before we go racing with the season opener for Pella Motors at the Knoxville Raceway. Catch you, everybody.